1 point and 1 place. That's all that separates Manchester United and Newcastle United in the Premier League. Ahead of their meeting this weekend, let's first up hear from the managers. Here's Eddie Howe and Erik Hawke.
Physically, for me, I'm fine. I'm good to go. Mentally, I think there was of course, a bit of reflection afterwards and a lot of disappointment, I think, in the dressing room. And collectively, we felt we were, minutes away from a historic result for us in our season, and obviously what happened. So, but I think then when a new day comes and you look at it slightly differently, and you have to move forward and look forward to the next game.
I get a feeling the players that you've got in that team, in that squad, are quite good at putting things to bed and moving on quickly. Is that what you kind of target in players when you try to bring them to the club, those sorts of characters? Yeah,
I think that character is important. I think this season especially, we have to results, whether they're positive or negative, they can't linger with us. We can't take them with us even for a couple of days, because then that influences what happens in the future, and the future is always the most important thing. So when something like that happens, I think you understand there will be, you allow the players to be emotional, but I don't think we want to view ourselves as victims or any kind of negative association like that. It's happened. Putting it to the back of our heads and using it as motivation for the future. They're all important aspects of what we need to think.
I suppose this month, as much as any else, because of the schedule, are you kind of, as a group, almost trying to sort of batten down the hatches and trying to just get through the month with the schedule that you've got?
That's one way of putting it. Yeah, I think whether it's battening down the hatches, I'm not sure, but yeah, I think we want to get through the month. But we want to do well. I still think we've got a really good team on the pitch. I've said that all through this injury position that we're in, that we still have a very good team. Yes, we have some youth in it, but we have a lot of experience in it as well. So we have a good mix, and I still think we're good enough to get positive results.
Did I ask any new injuries from the other night? Are you okay?
Yeah, I hope we're okay. Until the game kicks off, you don't quite know, but at this moment we don't look too bad.
Okay, and with the lads who were out, is there any chance of any of them being back in the squad for Man United?
Not presently, as I sit here talking to you now.
Okay. Have you got any update for us at all on Sven Botman? I know we asked you about him.
They need to play the next game, really. That's been our way of working the majority of the season.
If he's ready or not, and he showed on Sunday that he was ready. And then we have to manage 3 games in 6 days to get the best results of all the games. And we have more than 11 players. We have good options there. I think Soufiane also showed he was playing a very good game. So we have there the options, and then you manage the load of the players, and that it's about freshness as well.
What in particular do you like about him as a player? He's obviously very young.
He's scanning, and it looks like he has always time, and because he's scanning, he's running free, then he's scanning to see the options and then make the right decisions. He can delay, he can speed up, and so he makes the right decisions.
Anton?
Hi. I know you've talked a lot about Andre Onana, but since the game on Wednesday, his form has been analysed, it's been talked about. Are we being too harsh on Andre Onana?
Pardon?
Are we analysing and talking about Andre Onana too much? Are we analysing his game too much?
If you analyse it well, then you see he's the second best goalkeeper in the Premier League, based on stats. So his expected preventing goals.
United and Newcastle, as mentioned, so closely situated on the Premier League standings. The only difference besides that point is in the goal-scoring department. Newcastle have scored 31 to Man United 16. That's a big difference.
It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. But that just says to me where Manchester United are in comparison to Newcastle, or where Newcastle is in comparison to Manchester United. Newcastle look like, when you watch them, they're so organised, they're so focused, they're so driven. They know what they're doing and when they're supposed to be doing things. Whereas you look at Manchester United and apart from a few individual moments of brilliance, Garnacho's overhead kick, Bruno Fernandes having a great finish from outside the 18-yard box the game before, they look a little bit disorganised. They look like they're not really buying into something. Now, I don't know what that is, and I don't know why that is, but I'm watching it from the outside looking in, and I'm thinking to myself, I don't really know many, if any, players that Ten Hag has improved for Manchester United over the last however long he's been there, year and a bit. And that for me is concerning. Whereas you look at Eddie Howe and what he's done with that Newcastle side, and you have to argue the players that Newcastle have are not better individually than the players that Manchester United have. But look at what they're doing, and look at where they are and where they're going. They're scoring goals galore. They're defending really well. They look organised. There's a big difference there.
Such an interesting point you make about Manchester United, because we've been talking about them as if they're in trouble, their crisis, their problems always seem bigger, always seem more blown out of proportion. And then they were actually last week, as mentioned, the form team in the Premier League right now. It's a little bit hard to believe. And maybe it's because it's all been by a single goal. It's all been someone pulling out a moment of brilliance here and there. What do you think?
Laborious. I mean, you look at the goal difference is 0. I mean, come on, 13 games in, the goal difference is 0. And that sums it up well. They have no margin. I agree with Jeremy, there's not a real direction, a clear identity of what this team is trying to do. We see the struggles of Marcus Rashford, which I think is an individual issue, and you've been through goal drought, I'm sure, like every striker.
Not bad.
No, bad, no. Of course not. I just meant, like a tiny one, but also a structural problem within that team, I think. And we saw that at Galatasaray in the Champions League on Wednesday night, where they again had a lead and again blew the lead up, or whatever you say. And I think there's a big issue, even in characters, in leadership, and in organisation.
I will from now on be saying blew the lead up. Absolutely. I love how it sounds. Sounds way better.
They did, to be fair.
Yeah.
They lost the lead.
Yeah.
They lose the lead. They lose it on a regular basis, which is
Not the first time.
not the first time, yeah.
Okay, we've got to give them their props, though, because beating Everton was the first time that they won by more than a single goal this season, and there was some pretty impressive goal in there. I've seen loads of people saying for the Premier League goal of the season, stop the count. What do you think?
It's hard to say because it's against one of my former clubs.
Sorry.
And also, you've never scored a goal like that, so...
I have. I was just saying, where's my clips? I don't see my clips up here.
We could not find it.
Look, to be honest, it's one of the best overhead kicks I think I've seen and many other people have seen. It's frustrating that it came right at the beginning, within the first, 3 minutes? Because it kind of put a dampener on what was to be a really exciting, interesting game between the two teams. But look, it was a fantastic victory for Manchester United. The goals ultimately win your games, and that one killed the game off for Everton.
Phenomenal. They've apologised for not being able to get your clips on time. Said it's on VHS, so they couldn't.
Wow. Black and white, yeah.
They didn't have enough time to get
that's cool.
Sorry, Jim.
Ooh, happy Christmas.
It's my birthday next week.
And happy
This is what I have to deal with.
All in one. Well, you could be having injury problems like it seems everyone in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Newcastle as well. You've had a look at something from midweek that you wanted to point out to us.
Yeah, because obviously they played in Paris on Tuesday night, and the same 11 started the game and finished the game, simply because, as we will see on the graphic, the bench that Eddie Howe named, this is it, really. And apart from maybe Lou, again, he played a little bit this season, never really convincingly enough, this is mad when you think about it. And that shows you all the injuries that they have, all the suspension, of course, internally as well. And a bench like this, there's nothing you can do as a coach. You can't change tactically something. You can't bring somebody up, and it will be the same on Saturday because none of their injured players, I think, are okay to come back. I think they need a bit more time for a Botman, for Burn maybe, for Barnes. So again, the same 11 players will start with a Lewis Miley, a 17-year-old in midfield. And I think Eddie Howe will hope for no more injuries in that first half against United and nothing bad. But for a team that plays with so much intensity, not being able to bring any of your 5 subs is mad when you think about it. And on the other hand, Ten Hag will have that luxury of bringing people on.
Yeah, just a thought about Newcastle and this phenomenal home record that they have so far this season. They've been unplayable there almost, even with their problems, even though we weren't sure who they were going to have in reserve against Chelsea. They did the business. The only time they lost there was against Liverpool. What does that do for you as a player when you know, right, we're in trouble, we don't have backup, but we are at home, and this is our fortress?
Look, playing at St. James